Okay, let's get started then, Richard. So welcome everybody. Welcome to our session today. So this is run by Chorley Council under the Choose Chorley brand and also Digital Creative. We've been providing webinars for about 4 or 5 months now that we've not been able to have physical sessions from the Strawberry Fields Digital Hub. Today's session is with Richard Gill. We're covering Google Maps as a business marketing tool, and he'll take you through all the information he has on that, and there'll be an opportunity for questions as well. Richard, is it all right if people ask questions as they go along?
Yeah, if you want to ask questions, if you've got a burning question there and then, then sure. I'll take questions afterwards, so I can take questions after as well. So yeah, anytime.
Okay, fantastic. At the end, also let you know about some of the other upcoming sessions that we've got as well. So for now, I'll hand you over to Richard, and hope everything's good for you today. Thank you.
All right, well, thanks, Phil. And hello, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us today. My name's Richard. I'm part of Go Virtual UK, the founder, in fact. So I'm going to put you onto a share screen, share my presentation with you now. Just let me know if it comes in okay. So if I do that, so you guys see that presentation now? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Right, yeah, so my name is Richard from Go Virtual UK. I'm also a contractor from Google Maps. I've been working with them for the past part of 6 years now. So I just want to go quickly through what kind of qualifies me to talk to you today about Google Maps. So basically, I started about 11 years ago as a student coming out of university. I went down to the Isle of Wight to work on a TV satellite station down there. That was for about 4 or 5 months. And then coming out of there, I worked for a guy in Wigan, and I was a camera operator for the BBC, Sky Sports, and a place called Sterling Events, which do like massive big events, basically for like celebrities and stuff. And then coming towards the end of that, by complete sheer accident, I ended up finding myself working for Google Maps. So for the best part of 6 years, I've been working with them as their official street view photographer. So it's been basically my job to go around the length and breadth of the UK, sometimes into Europe, and update or create the 360 pictures that you see on Google Maps. And yeah, that's been me. I think we hire about 20 people per year to cover the entirety of the United Kingdom. And of those 20, there's about 6 seniors. I myself am one of those who's classed as a senior. And I think out of the seniors, I'm one of the only ones who's ever used the entire Google Street View camera roster. So what I mean by that is as you can see on here, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse or not, but we have a Street View car in the top left, myself using a backpack camera, which we call the Street View Tracker, which does all the areas that the cars can't reach. And there's also a couple of other things that use what they call a Street View trolley, which kind of does interior Street View photography, as well as a regular tripod and SLR camera. So after a good 4 years, one thing I realized is that the only downside was that we weren't able to use the Street View cameras during the winter period, mainly because these are cameras, they are electronic, so when it starts to get wet and miserable like it does in the UK during the winter periods, they get wet, they get damaged. So we tend to take all the equipment to hotter countries. And in 2017, I think it was, I thought, well, you know what, this is my calling in life, and I want to do it full time. Hence why we created Google Go Virtual UK, which is what I've been basically doing for the best part of 2 years now, just doing interior street view photography for private clients as a way of kind of introducing people, trying to get people through their doors. It's been a really renowned success so far. And so yeah, let's carry on from there. So I'm going to go straight from the basics, from the perspective of you and I, who use Google Maps as a way of initiating and discovering things. There are many things that we use Google Maps for, and not just the 1 or 2 things that the majority of us use. There's quite a number of things that you can use them for. So first of all, satellite navigation. Sat nav I use on a daily basis. I'm sure a lot of you do. So it's completely dominated the sat nav market. You can navigate from one end to the other. You can find the best routes to take for yourself. One like the tinfoil hat things that people talk about when it comes to spying is like basically your phone is currently holding a GPS signal, and if you were to travel from one end of the country to the other, you get yourself caught into traffic, and then that GPS signal is going to tell Google that you've slowed down and you're part of traffic. So it's also one of the fastest ways that we have in order to bring live updates in terms of satellite navigation. But if you've not got a car, you also have live train times. So if you're not too sure on how to get around, you can use Google Maps to use you find out what time your train's due, if you've got the correct line. It's especially useful for the London Underground as well, because it's also showing an entirety of the lines on the Google Underground. For reviews, if we were to go onto Google Maps and look for places that we want to eat, for example, one of the key features is that we can then write a review of said place that we've just been to, whether it's to recommend or to not recommend it to other people, which can like turn the tides in terms of like new customers. You've got the static imagery. Obviously, you can upload your own if you wanted to. The company can upload their own pictures to Google Maps listing, but also the public can do the same as well. So you do tend to get some imagery where you've got like the professional kind of photography that's made by a company on the Google Maps listing, and you also have on the side of that pictures and videos that have been from people who might have visited there in the past, to give like a real insight into what it's like to be at that given location. The business information, this is everything from the title of the company, the website, the phone number, the address, and the synopsis of the business as well. So it's always incredibly important to kind of keep that stuff up to date. I've had to do that on quite a few occasions. In fact, I actually did one for the Reebok Stadium in Bolton, because they've actually changed the name of their stadium on numerous occasions, as some of you might know. And actually, as public members, we can change information like this to try and keep it accurate for companies in some cases. So it has been changed now to the University of Bolton Stadium, whereas I think before it was, I can't remember what it's called beforehand. It was Macron, that was the one. I said Marriott then. I don't think it's quite that up there really. So yeah, there's that as well. It's a recommender as well. So if you want to go onto Google Maps and look for, say, the next restaurant you want to go to, Google Maps is a very powerful tool in recommending certain locations to be going to. It can suggest, like, if you wanted to go to, like, say, a Caribbean restaurant, then you've got Google Maps there to kind of put in X amount of places and recommend places for you. So it takes out a lot of the time and effort. I think I just clicked one, but I can't actually see it because I got this in the way. Oh, that's it. Augmented reality. I'm going to show you an example of this, but this is a brand new feature for Google Maps. It's something that I helped with on our last tour with Google Maps. London is now currently one of the only augmented reality ready cities in the world. I think we actually called it as the first in the world. But it's somewhere in between. It's kind of like a step up from Street View, basically. So if I drop this into here, I'll show you a quick video. Hopefully there's no sound in it. So we have like the regular Google Maps kind of thing. What it's meant for actually is basically, some people do struggle when it comes to navigating through Google Maps. Some people do struggle using the maps to find out which direction they need to be going in. So they introduced the augmented reality, or AR, to basically help people with navigation even further. So we've got Google Maps. This one that we're looking at right now is Google Street View. But if you do struggle to find it that way, then you can use in the bottom middle. There we go. In the bottom middle, you got the viewfinder, and this is basically what we're expanding on at the moment, which is AR. So it's actually figured out where I'm based, and using the camera on my phone, it's telling me which direction to go in, using all these like different fancy graphics and things like that. Yep. Okay. And then after that, we've got virtual reality, which, as mentioned, is Google Street View. And it's been going now for, I think, 9-10 years or something like that, somewhere in between augmented reality and static imagery. So that was an early introduction into helping people find a place that they mostly have never been to before. So one example, I was down in Cheltenham on Tuesday, and I used Street View basically to find an off-road kind of is kind of a pharmacy. Well, it wasn't a pharmacy. It's kind of a private doctor for my missus, and it was kind of off the road. You couldn't really find out where it was without seeing without the Street View thing. I would probably would have missed all the signs. So it's quite handy to have around. But we also use it to go inside buildings as well as a way of marketing, which I'll get into a bit later on. Hotel price comparisons. If you wanted to, you could go onto Google Maps, type in the word hotel, and find a hotel that was right for you. And on the Google Maps listing, it will give you the actual prices of said hotel at any given point. It will give you live prices based on today, so you can find out how much it is for today. Or if you wanted to, right above the price listing, it'll give you settings of, you can change the dates, you can change how many people. So it's kind of a live quotation platform as well. And finally, aerial photography, as we all know, is Google Earth, which goes hand in hand really. It's most famously known for finding Area 51, I think back in 2003. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, that's been going now for pretty much as long as Google Maps has been going for as well. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that we've got. So the scenario in terms of a business. So as I said before, on Monday I had to decide on a few locations I had to be in. I had to go to Cheltenham on Tuesday. So on Monday night I thought, well, I'll find somewhere for us to eat. We've got to go to this place, and then we're going to find somewhere to eat, and then we're going to go home. So the way that I do it, and the way that 44% of the entire searching online platform market goes, is that I use Google Maps to find out where to go. So you got 44% who use Google Maps. You got 56%, the other 56% who use basically everything else. So you've got Google.com, Facebook, Twitter, all kinds of social media, word of mouth recommendations and things like that. So if I just open this now, so 91% or 91.5% of all online searches are conducted on Google or some kind of Google platform. 44% of the entire online market is conducted on Google Maps. Then you've got 8.5%, which is conducted on other areas. I think about a little graph here that I can show you as well, just to show you what that looks like. So you got like purple and yellow sections here, and then you've got Google Maps just next to that in the green, which shows you just how big of a market Google Maps is. This is all in terms of like people who go out and search, not just like the entire online world, but specifically people who are looking for your business. So people who are actually searching and trying to find the nearest cake shop or a hotel or restaurant or a bar, people who are actually out there searching. So what we've found is that the average business spends £1,000 per month running different advertisements, and that's based on like the Google Maps listing, making sure that you get up to the top of the listing. It's advertising on making videos on YouTube. It's making leaflets and things like this. So the average business spends £1,000 per month on this 56% of the market. And so it's shown, I think is which that I found this rate from, it has more or less a 13% success rate. So that 13% basically means the person who's going on to a search and leading to a transaction with you, that has a 13% success rate.
Oh, man.
And then you got Google Maps with 44%. It's a completely free platform, so a lot of places you do have to purchase to get into, so to speak. But from what I'm going to show you now, it's almost all of it's an entirely free platform. So show you what that looks like. Getting noticed, we have 10 areas that I want to cover with you, and we'll go through all these bit by bit. Keywords. Keywords are basically, as it mentions, it's a keyword. It's a paraphrase. It's if you're not too sure, you can add keywords into your website, or you can add it into your Google Maps or your Google My Business listing. Keywords and phrases are basically words that you type into Google, such as Caribbean restaurants, such as cake shop, things that represents your business, words that you can associate with what you do as a service. So for me, for example, I run a Wix website and I'm allowed up to 5 keywords, whereas I think on Google My Business you can do a fair few more than that, which I'll show you now. So if I bring in this page, so can you see this Google My Business page currently? Someone see that okay? So that was a yes. Okay, so let's see. So if we go into our information page, so this is my Google Maps, Google My Business listing, by the way. In the information section, just underneath the Go Virtual UK title, you can see it's got a few paraphrases such as commercial photographer, advertising agency, video production service, internet marketing. So these are also keywords that people might punch into Google Maps. And with these words, it can associate their search to your business. Okay. Second one is your primary photo. So let's bring in the next one. So I did find a business based in Nottingham, which we're going to pick on today. It's just to show the difference between a good Google Maps business listing and a bad one. Something that's going to really attract people and not do. Right, so just wait for this page to load up, and it does take a little time. For some reason, if you go onto a different web page and then you come back to Google Maps, it takes a little time to load. I'm not too sure why. Okay, so the primary picture is the be-all and end-all for your business. It's what's going to basically attract people to your location, or it's going to be the difference between people coming or people not coming. So if you just like click through a fair few different businesses around here, you can see in the top left corner, there's always this picture that starts everything off. I mean, the first thing that people do is click on one of these listings, one of these icons on Google Maps. But the first thing they're always going to be looking at is that very first picture that's in the top left corner. So it's like absolutely critical to make sure that that picture is like your #1 ultimate picture of all time. It's got to be something that's that represents you as a business, but also needs to be like so unbelievably stunning if you can. It's not always that easy, but it needs to be like so eye-catching that the majority of people are going to be coming and visiting you based on this picture alone. So yeah, we'll go with that one. Number 3
is there an option when you go into your Google thing to make that as your primary picture?
Yes, there is. So I'll bring it up for you now. To change and edit your Google Maps business listing, you go onto Google My Business and you log in with your Gmail account on Google. So once you go into Google My Business, on the left-hand side, you've got, this is on a laptop anyway, on the left-hand side, about halfway down, you've got photographs, not photos. And it's here that you can kind of upload all of your photographs and change them if you want to, like do it that way.
So how do you know which one is going to be the main one that comes up first in the top left?
So if you look at on mine, for example, in the top left of the first two, you can see the logo there. You have the logo and the cover. So the cover is the picture that I was referring to, the primary photograph. So you could change that cover photo to whichever works out best for you, which one you think is most eye-catching that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, once you need to make sure that this picture is like the be-all and end-all, because it could be the difference between someone being excited or repulsed by looking into you further. It's not going to be let's carry on this then. So the next thing is the pictures that come after that. So when we start to scroll down, we do have options to go into other photographs and other media, static media that I mentioned earlier. This can be one of several different things, and you can categorize them as you can see here as well. I think the majority of these are actually automatically done. So if we start to go into them, you've basically got pictures that the business owner has taken, that pictures that the managers have taken, and then you got like pictures that the public have taken as well, pictures of food, pictures of the environment, things like that. The more photographs that you've got, the better. It's not it's as simple as it sounds, really, because like you can just keep on adding to someone's interest in that sense. So you've kind of roped them in with the first picture, and then if they want to know more about your business, then a million pictures is going to be a lot better than a couple of pictures. It's like the more that you can entice them, the more of a chance you have of getting them to come into your business. Okay, right. Number 4 is your contact information. So all your contact information. Oh, that's it. We're gonna start picking on a certain property that I found as an example of what not to do in this situation. So we have this fast food outlet, this Caribbean food place. Oh, as I was saying actually about the primary photo, yeah, make sure that it's the most appetizing picture that you can find. I don't know about you guys. I'm not too keen on whatever this is. I'm not going to leave it on screen for too long. So yeah, make sure that's a good picture. But contact information, as you can see, just down at the bottom of the screen here. You have options to add your hours, the address, the email address, the telephone number. If you don't have any of that, then how are people going to find your location or contact you? Sometimes it's not always that necessary to add everything, but it is always important to add something. There are a number of companies out there who haven't really added anything. I'm not too sure if you can even get any kind of business out of Google Maps in that sense. But when you take something like this takeaway outlet, if there is an option to sit inside and eat your meal, I'll call it, indoors, and then for someone like me, I'd probably want to know, like for example, what time they open. So that's one thing. So it's not really enough to kind of assume that this place is open from 6 p.m. till midnight. You want to know exactly when it is going to be open, especially right now, considering that a lot of businesses are either open or they're not open, or they've got limits on things. So again, if this place does offer seating for me to sit down and eat in their place, I might want to contact them and find out if there's a limit to how many people can come in, if we've got to pre-book or anything like that. So yeah, it's an important thing to kind of keep all the information that you can on that listing, so that people can find you. Number 5 is a website builder. So sometimes we're a bit skint, and like my Wix website, for example, it costs a ridiculous amount, if you ask me. But if you are strapped for cash on your Google My Business listing, which I'll bring up here, and there is an option where you can actually build your own websites. So in the bottom left, just above users, we got website. So if I click onto that one, and now this is all kind of automatically generated by Google My Business. But as you can see, you got the company title and the hours that were open, big massive picture, lots of like blogs and articles that we've been publishing over the course of the months. We've got testimonials, views, ratings, the about us, a gallery of all the pictures, contact information. So it's a really good, like, strong basic website. I mean, I have to kind of add a lot of fancy features to my website, or I feel like I need to anyway, because of like the work that I do. It involves a bit more of a technical program to run. But for a lot of businesses, just some simple pictures and some simple information, that's more or less all you need. So, and I mean, the best part is, if we can highlight it here, so if you can see that, it costs £10 per year to run a website on Google My Business. So that's what, £8 a year, £8 a month, sorry, something like that. And it does give you the option as well. You can also change the domain of the website as well, so you can make it a lot more personal. And Google will kind of help you find the right web address for you. Okay, so let's bring that one back. So the next one we've got is location accuracy, number 6. It is surprising how many businesses on Google Maps aren't in the correct position to where they say they are. not sure if I'm going to be able to find any just yet, because the majority do tend to be accurate, but on the odd occasion, you do tend to find some businesses that aren't exactly where they say they are. Like there might be maybe across the road or something like that. My business, for example, we've changed address 3 times so far. We've gone from Preston to Halifax and then to Chorley. And that's over the course of 2 years. So it's been quite important for me to make sure that I'm not still living in Halifax according to Google Maps. Again, that's like the contact information. You've just got to keep it up to date if anything changes. But yeah, if it does come up where you kind of check to make sure that your listing is where it's supposed to be, you can change it. There's really only one real thing you need to do in that sense. So if you go into information on your Google My Business listing, it will show you, yeah, here we go. So if you start scrolling down, it'll start to show you all the different information. And here, if I just edit it here, yeah, you can start to change the address. What will happen is Google will send you a postcard to that address with a code, and then you open that code, you type it into a screen that will automatically come up into Google My Business, and that will confirm that who's changing the address is genuine and is actually changing it, for the greater good. It stops people from like changing information about you that might not be accurate. There has been some instances where that's happened. I think Preston North End was one, where someone had changed. Well, funnily enough, they managed to change the description of the stadium to a few curse words, and there was. I think I actually stepped in and said, well, I tried to change it for them, and they did actually eventually change it, but because that said person couldn't change anything else, he didn't have access to where that postcard was going to be delivered to, so it stopped it from changing anything that it really shouldn't have, putting the stadium in the sea in terms of Google Maps. Okay, so number 7 is the reviews. So pretty much just as important as the primary photo and the other photos is the reviews. This place that I'm picking on has actually got some pretty decent reviews. Even though they've only got 4, you can't really do much about how many reviews you get, other than kind of reminding your customers to leave you reviews on your Google Maps listing. The more, the merrier, obviously. And I don't need to tell you that as long as you hold a genuinely decent service, and then you will get good reviews. There are some places out there. I think this was one, yeah. So the one just next door, 2.4 over 13 reviews. I think the kind of tilting point is probably going to be somewhere in the region of 3 to 3.2% out to 5, sorry. Before that could start to be the difference between someone visiting you and someone not visiting you and looking further afield. Whoops, I seem to have dropped my presentation. So number 8 is Street View. No, it's gone. That's it. So yeah, Street View is a platform that we use to kind of find out where we're going. So if I just bring up Street View now. So it did start off as something along the lines of this. So I'm going to be going to this Caribbean restaurant right here. I'm not too sure what I'm looking for when I get there. So you can use Google Street View to see what the place looks like. I'm sure that you've all seen these before. You might have even seen the guys driving around in the Street View cars as well. And there is another feature that you can do with Street View, which is go inside the properties themselves. In fact, let me just show you one that I made earlier to show you what that looks like. So this is Browsholme, and it's like a wedding venue based in Clitheroe. So this is still Street View, but it's based inside the building, obviously. So it's a good way to kind of discover Browsholme when you're typing in wedding venues in the northwest. You find the likes of Browsholme, but you've also got this virtual reality platform in which you can explore the place and see if it's right for you as well. Okay, and then next one, Google My Business Analytics. So on your Google Maps business listing, you do have the option to get an insight into how your listing is performing. This can change depending on how you change your business listing, how it looks, and what information you provided, as we've discussed up to this point. You can change it to weekly, monthly, or quarterly. And there's also just down here a little bit of a cheat sheet. Now, I was mentioning the keywords at the very start. Sometimes it's not easy to find the right keywords to represent your business. But this is actually a bit of a cheat sheet, because these words that I'm looking at here are words that people have punched in. I didn't add these. These are words that people have typed into Google and clicked on the business listing as a result of that. So if you do find yourself thinking like maybe I should change one or two of the keywords, you can use this as a way of seeing how people are actually finding you. It's like a really good way of finding out what people think, what people search for. Okay, and then the final one is blogging. So there is an option as well on the Google Maps, on the Google My Business page. You can do some blogging. So the majority of companies out there do tend to do blogging. So on social media, you'll post something on like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, basically everything within the same session. I would actually recommend that you also add it to your Google My Business listing as well. So if I bring up some posts here, which is just below the home button, you do have the option to also add information onto there. You can add a picture and a few minor details as well. This is basically where, so I'll bring up this one. And so where it ends up is just underneath your information, underneath the photographs.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you get penalised for duplicate content, or does it have to be unique, or can you just duplicate?
Duplicate as in like post
Post it on, post it on your website and then post it on here the same.
Oh no, you can do that. That's absolutely fine. There's no risks at all. I don't think. I think the only risk that you can ever really collide with in terms of this is if you were to put something offensive on there, like a bad word or a bad image or something like that. Otherwise, it is simply the same as sharing this onto any other platform. It's all free speech. If it benefits you as a company, then yeah.
But I just meant your Google rankings, say for your blog post on your website. If you then put it on here, would that affect your website blog?
See, I don't think it does. No. Basically, when we're posting things onto websites and social media, it's usually going out to a very large percentage. Whereas with these blogs, it is specifically guided towards your business listing on Google. It's not being advertised as an ad. For example, say like we were navigating through Google Maps right now. If like a big pop-up came up and said, your post as an advert, that wouldn't be the case. It's controlled to an extent where it's only contained within your business listing.
Okay.
So yeah, you won't have any issues with conflict of information or anything like that.
Richard, following on from that, can I post something I've posted on Facebook also onto Google My Business?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd recommend it if anything. So whatever you post onto your social media platforms, I would consider adding it to the Google Maps business listing as well. Like I say, I mean, it's not. Well, I suppose it is there for the people who are finding you on Google Maps. They can see this information as a way of just like basically enhancing and enforcing your business listing. I think that it does kind of encourage a bit more. So if we were to search for, if you're right. Sorry, if we were to look for like a restaurant, for example, and you had one business that was publishing a lot of posts, but the others weren't, I think that it does encourage you to climb up a bit further up the recommendations, because you're seen as an active business listing.
Yes.
But it also gives you like that kind of information as well. So if you wanted to climb in, it just gives you a bit more information about the business as well, a bit more of the activity and stuff. Okay, so yeah, that's the top 10 things on Google Maps that I can recommend for you. Just bring this one back down again. So I've got all these pages up here. There we go. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so yeah, that was everything that I thought you could learn from, get your businesses enhanced on Google Maps. And like I say, it's a very powerful stage to be publishing on. It's 44% of all people who do any kind of remote searching for your business. This is like for me really pushing the boats out in terms of the Street View stuff. So what I've found, and there's a study called the Ipsos study, which basically suggests that you got this 56% of all searches are conducted on the other platforms, and the average business spends £1,000 advertising, like climbing the Google ladder or creating video ads on YouTube, flyers and leaflets and things like that. And it's according to the study, it suggests that actually not this study, I think it was which they suggested that it's roughly about 13% success rate in terms of someone doing a search and getting to the point of making a transaction with you. So not necessarily the success rate of the adverts bringing people in, but more in terms of making a search for, for a flower shop and actually making a purchase at that flower shop. So they say that most businesses spend £1,000 a month advertising on this 56%, so nearly half of the online audience, and with 13% success rate. Whereas me, with my Street View tours, it said that 41% of all business listings that have a Street View tour, sorry, I'll start that again. So we've got this 44% of Google Maps online marketing, 41% of Street View viewers become a visitor. So 41% of 44% when you do the math is 18%, which is roughly 20% or 1 in 5 customers. So you got 1 in 5 customers on Google Maps who, so if you got like a property, let's say this one here, for example, which is the Night Keller, it's a bar, which has a Street View tour available. So 1 in 5 people who end up coming to this particular bar initially came from Street View viewing. And in order to create one, I only charge £5.39 per month to run it. It costs me to run to create and upload and maintain Street View tours, but I also throw in analytics on top of that as well, which not a lot of people tend to do when it comes to Street View tours. Plus you got
Was that for the whole Google business listing and everything, or just the photographs?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
So the £5.39 per month, is that for the whole Google listing?
No, this is the Google listing. That's absolutely free. If you want help with that, I can be more than happy to help.
No, I mean to maintain it.
To maintain it, no, the listing is absolutely free. To maintain and upload the Street View tour, the 360 Street View tour going inside, I charge £5.39 per month in order to create that for businesses. Mostly because the software that I use to create the Street View tours charge me to make them and upload them and keep them online, basically. So yeah, it's just for peace of mind, really, if anything else. Plus standard photography rates. I think it turns out to about £10 per month. £10 per 360 picture in order to create them. And the prices also change based on the business size as well. So if you got like a little small flower shop, it's going to be like, it's going to be like the smallest price bracket. Whereas you've got a big stadium like Tottenham Hotspurs, and that's going to be like, quite a big price package based on how many times you're going to have to make 360 pictures per step, things like that.
With the Street View tours, is it quite easy to do yourself if you have the right equipment?
I kind of yes and no. So there are ways that you could make a Street View tour. I mean, there's currently 150,000 people out there in the UK who make 360 Street View tours, whether it's myself who does it like at the peak of professionalism, or people who take it up as a hobby. You can actually get Street View created on your phone. It depends on like how much care you want to take with the photo quality, because when you start to use the very low end scale, the photo quality does tend to get quite damaged, in my opinion. So there's a lot of businesses out there who take on 360 photographers who can buy. You can basically buy a 360 camera in the likes of Currys for like £100, and basically it will be as simple as like placing it in position pressing a button and then hey presto, that's a 360 picture created. So they do design it to make it look like really simple and basic to do. But at the same time, that £100 and that really simple process also isn't very good in terms of photo quality. So when I was talking before about like the primary picture, for example, you want to make sure that it's absolute best. So I actually steer my quality more towards SLR cameras, like the big, like two-handed kind of cameras, to get like the most amount of pixels out of each individual 360 picture. Whereas with like little small built-in 360 cameras, they tend to look like quite grainy. I can try and find some examples if you want to try and show the difference.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries. So I mean that's the entire presentation. I know it's a little small and brief. A lot of it you might very well know, just from like common sense, but I hope there's a few kind of hints and tips in there that can kind of further enhance your business listings. This is all the information. So if you have any questions from here on outwards as well, if you want to learn a bit more, you can do. I've got the website at the top, email and phone number. But yeah, thanks very much, everyone. Yeah, it's good to speak to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Has anyone got any other questions they'd like to ask him before we close the session?
Well, that's great. Thank you.
I think I just want to ask, whether I should do it here or privately, is whether Richard is available to hire to Google My Business.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to charge you for the Street View things, I'm not going to lie, but as far as like the business listings go, I don't charge at all for that. So if you do want help with anything that we discussed today in terms of like the pictures or the information or just making a business listing in general.
Well, I've got a business listing, and I'm just I think I must be stupid because I wanted to link it to my website, but it'll only give me its website, and I'm not sure that I'm doing it properly. So to actually give you the login details or have a session with a screen share or something, very happy to pay for it because I've got a listing that's doing nothing.
Okay, yeah, no worries. We'll figure it out. I'm not sure what the best course is, whether to do it online or whether it's just to come over and help you out in person. But no, okay, I won't charge for that kind of thing. So
I'll connect. Well, how do you live if you're not going to charge for that, Richard? Come on, you can't eat fresh air. Even though some of us probably should for a little while.
I'm too nice. What can you say? No, honestly, I like I said, I'm a contractor for Google, so I get paid from Google to do the official Street View tools for 8 months, and then I also create Street View tools for private businesses. That $5.39 per month is kind of how it gets by, basically, because it's like a subscription.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll connect with you after the session, and we'll go from there. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Okay, fantastic. Any other questions before we move on a little and close off?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, I can see David back there. Hi, David. Not seen you for a while. Good to see you, mate. Okay, so thanks very much, Richard. Really good session. There's a lot of things that I've learned as well today.